And welcome to This Is Your Life. Well, tonight I have a very charming and beautiful conspirator, Margaret Lockwood, who has, of course, been our guest of honour. And here at London's Duke of York Theatre, she's about to rehearse a scene from the play Relative Values with someone whose name you'll know in just a couple of minutes. And I know you're due on stage right now, Margaret, and I'm depending very much on you.
Well, I'm depending on you because you've got your cue, you know what line to come on, and I guarantee that if you come on then, she will have her back turned.
Great.
All right?
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you, Margaret. And in fact, as soon as it starts, I will give a thumbs-up signal to our electrician because they're rehearsing in just ordinary rehearsal lights, so as we get all the lights on, and then let's see what happens.
I knew it wouldn't work. I knew you'd never believe it.
I think it was the army lorry that did it. You're a terribly bad liar. You're upset about his lordship's marriage. That's the trouble, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, that is the trouble.
Why, Moxie? Why should it matter so desperately to you?
Please, milady, please let me go, and please don't ask me to explain. I can't stay here. Really, I can't.
But you won't have to stay here, not for long at any rate. I shall be going away myself at the earliest opportunity, and you naturally will leave with me.
No, that's impossible. I must leave at once.
But why?
Thank you, Margaret. It's very kind of you. I hope you can stay for a little while, because award-winning actress Patricia Hayes, tonight, This Is Your Life.
What?
Well done, Margaret. Well done.
Not tonight. Oh, no. How ghastly. I hope they haven't been watching all the dramas I've been making. Oh, it's... No! I say no! Yes. Oh, no, I'm in the back of the trunk! I'm supposed to be going home with Joyce.
I thought I'd exploded a bit of laughing gas there, but...
You had.
Anyway, you can have your tea with Joyce tomorrow night.
Yes.
Because tonight, Patricia Hayes, Actress of the Year, This Is Your Life. Now, since you first stepped on the stage as a child star, you've played thousands of parts in films, on stage, television, and radio, but you never encouraged your own children to go on stage. It didn't make any difference, did it, Patricia?
No.
No, it didn't. Because here to begin with is blind-born opera singer Theresa, Sara the Javelin, this is stage band. Stage and film actor, your son Richard O'Callaghan. And most exciting coincidence of all, of course, the actress appearing for the first time with you in the play you've just been rehearsing, Relative Values, your youngest daughter, Gemma. Well, now, although this year, Patricia, you've captured national tributes and awards as a serious dramatic actress, you have, in fact, been making the nation laugh as a comedian over the past 20 years. You've given comic support to almost every top comedian in that time. One of the first, that big-hearted Arthur himself, Arthur Askey.
Nice of you.
Fancy them dragging you along like that. Who's this fella? Do you know? Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most brilliant actresses of all time. In fact, you can say she's a female Arthur Askey.
Yes, you can.
Thank you, Arthur.
Is that all you want?
That's all I want.
Go on, sit down, all.
No. Sit down there in your chair. And from your very first television series, Charlie Chester, Cheerful Charlie.
As Emma Togg's an educated evidence, we had to fight every week for about 2 years, and she's about the sweetest, most talented enemy a man could have. Lovely to see
Thank you, Charlie.
And Percy Edwards sends his love.
And from TV's Golden Shot, Norman Vaughan.
Years, darling, since we worked together. On the other side, you remember?
On the other side, yes.
And then I saw you do that marvellous inebriate woman. I'm glad you sobered up for tonight.
Thank you, Norman. And from Never Mind the Quality, Feel the Whiff, John Bluthal.
I told you the waiting game would pay off.
Did you? Yes.
Thank you, John. And star of so many of his own shows, Eric Sykes.
I enjoyed it. I said they give you your own series.
Well done. Well, Patricia, while you were with some of these characters creasing the nation with comedy, one important writer working on a serious drama of social significance saw you in a totally different light.
A frayed, decrepit, fragile old bundle of rags.
Author of the award-winning play Cathy Come Home, and, of course, Edna the Inebriate Woman, Jeremy Sandford. Yes.
You brought me all the success.
Jeremy, why did you have this picture of Patricia?
Well, I thought that amidst this comic part in which you were so often cast, that there, in fact, lay also a genuine tragic actress or tragic comic actress, and it really you played the part beyond my dreams. I think it was due to this wonderful performance that you gave it that the play has had some social effect as well.
I hope so, yes.
Because, of course, the aim was not only to be entertainment, but to create some sort of change amidst the lives of the real-life Ednas.
Of course, yes.
In fact, Patricia, your performance as Edna in that BBC play moved the nation and brought you well-deserved honors from your fellow actors and, of course, from the press.
This is no good. I want fish. I don't eat this. I only eat fish. Fish, fish, fish. I only eat fish. Look! Ah! Oh, I can't eat this. This is snot. This is snot. You know this. This is snot.
It's fish. Sent off specially from the diet kitchen. It's fish, flat fish.
It's snot. It is snot. You read that wonderful part.
Jeremy, you said a moment ago about this wonderful performance in your play that more important was the kind of change it may have made. What effect did it have outside the world of theatre and television?
Well, I think there has been an effect. The government's going to send out a circular shortly, I'm told, and just one charity, in fact, has managed to produce one new hostel, like we had in the play, a month for these people, the Cyrenians. They've had 100 new recruits as a result of it, they say, and they've got 23 new hostels in the pipeline, which I think is good news.
Yeah.
So thank you for making it possible.
Thank you to you both, and thank you, Jeremy Sandford. Thank you. Now, Patricia, you were born and raised in Streatham, South London, where your late parents had settled. And at the age of 5, you started a local part-time elocution and dancing class. Every Wednesday, you left this house, 129 Pathfield Road, with your mother, to go to the local Madeira Hall for lessons.
Under a toadstool crept a wee elf.
Out of the rain to shelter himself.
2 children who share those early classes with you, your sister Moira, now a bank manager's wife, and your brother, an actor himself, Brian Hayes. Moira, what were those early performances like?
Well, we used to recite pretty little poems about elves and fairies and sometimes things to flowers, to white roses. And even in those days, Patricia used to do it much quicker and much better than anybody else in the class. In fact, it was Brian who always said she was an instant actress.
But I believe, Brian, that this instant acting didn't impress you so much, really.
Well, it wasn't quite like that, Eamonn. You see, I used to admire Patricia's marvellous ability to produce a torrent of heartbreaking tears at the drop of a dramatic moment. And it was not unknown for us when we were young to quarrel, and afterwards we used to run to our parents for judgment, you see, and I would produce what I thought to be the facts, and Patricia would produce the tears. And in my experience, it was the tears that always got the verdict.
Thank you, Brian and Moya. Thank you. Well, there you are. Even as a baby, she was able to do it. But I wonder, later on, what it is, in fact, that with the men we've just met, that makes her such a perfect foil for comedians, aren't there?
I really think the point is that she loves comedians. Is that right?
Yes,
me in particular?
Yes.
You're a lovely thing.
All of you.
Oh, no, me first. Alphabetical order.
You're the oldest.
Don't you dare say that, John. I don't look it. No makeup, only polyfiller.
You were born old.
Let me ask you, Charlie.
Well, you know, good comic feeds are not made, they're born, you know, and besides which she's proved herself one of the greatest actresses. Bless her.
Thank you.
Norman, how would you judge?
Well, what can I say? She's just a very, very good actress, and she's a real pro, and that's it. It's as simple as that.
That's right.
John.
I think she has a great power to concentrate and to be able to listen the intermediary speeches, and this is what I've particularly found with the fact that she can listen and be completely absorbed at the moment that she's actually doing a scene, and this is great.
Eric.
What was the question?
Now, he's at a funny age.
Yes!
What made her such a great foil?
No, I know, foil. You see, foil is a bad word, because foil is really because in the old days...
They used to keep a bookshelf.
You had 7 minutes. What happens is, in the old days, it was just enough to say, your brother worked at the factory. But now, there have to be actresses and actors. And really, I think Patricia has propped up more comedy shows than a lot of us have had hot dinners. Really,
Can I just say something? Well, you see, I think the reason that I have had some success with working with comedians is because they make me laugh.
Anyway, just 4 days after your 12th birthday in 1921, you make your very first professional appearance on the West End stage in a Christmas fantasy called Great Big World. You play the part of a little girl, Molly. But for your leading man, there's a special bonus.
I had to watch Pat while sitting under a table eating a cream bun.
Well, it obviously gave him a taste for the profession because he became an actor himself and a director, Denis Carey. Denis, I believe this was also your first ever acting job, wasn't it?
Yes, we were at the convent together, and Pat was really responsible for my going on the stage, and I still am. Yes.
And you got the cream buns as well there, yeah. But now this, although you've been acting ever since, you've only once since then acted together, right?
In Edna.
Yes.
And that was about 50 years later.
Wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. And marvellous, darling, you're winning the award.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denis Carey. Thank you. Well, now, even at 12, Patricia, at the London's Royal Court, you were already a hit. Got a notice? We have a copy of a notice, and it reads, amongst the young members of the cast is a gifted little artist, Patricia Hayes, who, although only just of age to appear before the footlights, shows promise of a career. Well, that was in a national newspaper. Now, when you left school, you got a place at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. There, you were the outstanding student of your year, and in 1928 won the Bancroft Gold Medal. Despite this, for nearly 2 years after you left, you found it hard to get work. Then, in 1932, you saw someone who changed your look. A producer was looking for someone to play a young girl in a play he'd just written. You carefully prepare your speeches for audition, and you went to meet him.
She got the part, but I kept a secret from her for 40 years.
The man who gave you your first contract in repertory theatre, still working today at 74, actor, writer, producer, Javelin Brandon Thomas. What was it about Patricia that I'm going to ask you about the secret in a moment? What convinced you so quickly about her?
Oh, very pretty. And lovely eyes and great vivacity.
Well, we can see that's still the case. What was the secret, or what is the secret you've kept for 40 years? You better tell her now.
Well, she got the part right away. And I've never told you this in 40 years. But about 10 minutes after I engaged you, the telephone bell rang from the RADA, and they said, "We're very sorry, we've sent you the wrong girl. There's somebody much more suitable for the part." But I wouldn't have it.
Oh.
I said I've engaged her, and that's that.
Oh.
Well done, and thank you, Javelin Brandon Thomas.
Thank you.
Now, you were 2 years with Jaben's company, and you made a close friend of someone who later, to other audiences, introduced you like this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the magniloquence of that minor miracle of mellifluousness, Master Pat Hayes!
Yes, chairman of the good old days himself, producer and actor, Leonard Sachs. Leonard, please, what do you mean, Master Pat Hayes?
Well, because, she appeared in many guises at the Players' Theatre, but very often as a little boy, because she sang so beautifully in that choir boy voice of hers. She used to sing, "Please sell no more drink to my father." That was as a girl. Then she'd sing, "I choose to be a daisy if I could be a flower." And, "Kiss me, mother, ere I die." And it was, it was heartbreaking because there was a little catch of the choir boy's voice in it.
Which was your favorite?
I think "Kiss me, mother, ere I die." There. Do you know it?
Yes.
Can you sing it? No, a bit. Just a little bit.
No, I can't.
A little bit.
Kiss me, mother, ere I die.
Well done, Patricia. Thank you, Leonard. Bravo. Now, while you're appearing at the Players' Theatre, a famous author came to see you. Now, he's trying to find a young actress to play a part in the play that was to become one of the great successes of the West End. He's not put off at all by the fact that you're a singing sailor boy, but you have doubts about your own suitability for the role. The play was When We Are Married. Recalling the occasion from his home in Stratford-upon-Avon, the author himself, just look over here, J.B. Priestley.
To the Players' Theatre, which used to function then late at night in Covent Garden. A lot of very clever young people were making their first appearances there. Well, among them was a short, lively girl called Patricia Hayes. And she took my fancy at once as a possibility for the part of the little maid Ruby in When We Are Married. So I talked to her about it, and she said, "Well, I don't do North Country accent." So I said, "Well, look, buy some records of Gracie Fields and just play them over and over and over again." Well, whether she did this, I really don't know, but I do know that she arrived at rehearsal with a complete North Country accent, and she was playing with a very good cast, all of whom really knew their North Country accent. And she made a very great success. It's a pleasure and a privilege to add just this little bit to any tribute to Patricia Hayes.
Thank you, J.B. Priestley. Patricia, how did you manage the North Country accent?
Oh, I listened to records of Gracie Fields.
Well, during the run of that play, you married fellow actor Valentine Brooke, and sadly, your marriage broke up after the war. You continued working and brought up your 3 children in this house in West Hill Road, where you still live today. Now, Theresa, there must have been pretty tough times just around then.
Well, now that I'm grown up and I've got 2 children myself, I realise that they must have been very tough times for Mummy. But at the time, I can assure you that she made it seem very easy and that we all had the most wonderful, happy childhood.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Well said. Well, now, for many of those years, Patricia, you've had the same neighbors, and to them, you're more than award-winning actress. You're a neighbor I know they're very fond of, and they're here tonight in our audience. From number 24, Mr. and Mrs. Culver, from number 18, the Mr. and Mrs. French, and number 22, Mr. Cook and Mr. Muller. Yes, and they'll all be with you afterwards. Now, those friends and neighbors knew that Patricia Hayes was an actress, but to millions of radio listeners, for 14 years, you were Pat Hayes, the young boy Henry in the serial Norman and Henry Bones, Boy Detectives, sounding like this.
Oh, I can see something coming, Norman. Good. It's a box, I think.
Yes?
No, it's a basket.
The boy playing Norman is today better known as an actor and one of the stars of Carry On films. Come in, Charles Hawtrey. Hello, Charles. Tell me, did playing a boy cause Patricia any trouble all those years ago?
Well, you don't know the script. No, dear. A couple of boy actors, you know, she got very offended. No, not because of that. No, we walk in a broadcasting house and everybody thought she was my mother. But as a boy actor, she took everybody in. She was so convincing. Patricia, let's show Eamonn how we used to do it. Now,
Yes, right.
we stood at the microphone.
Yes.
Just a minute. Right.
There's 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 white ones and 1 olive-coloured one with black splodges.
Oh, that's a gull's egg, the coloured one.
I expect Dexter brought it here from the island. But what about the others? What kind can they be?
I can't imagine. That's me. Pass me one over, will you?
All right, here you are.
Mind the girder.
Oh, crumbs, I've bust it.
That's you.
Well, there were some problems about this anyway, weren't there?
Do sit down, darling.
Yes, thank you.
Actually, it was terribly embarrassing because, you see, the man who wrote the script... Oh, not that. No, you see, the man who wrote the scripts was a very young and innocent schoolmaster, wasn't he?
Yes.
But every line he wrote had a double meaning. I mean, you've heard some of it. For instance, Patricia pointing her finger at me and saying, "Here comes the basket." I was never so insulted in my life.
Thank you, Charles Hawtrey.
That's why I call a matchstick.
Patricia, you were very successful for many years playing boys' voices on radio. You were always in demand, although one day you ran into competition with a member of your own family. Richard Wright?
Yes.
That was me.
That's it.
Tell me what happened, Richard.
Well, one day the telephone rang and it was the BBC saying, we're about to do a production of Shakespeare's King John on the radio, and we want a boy to play Prince Arthur. And we'd like your son to do it. And if he can't do it, would you like to do it instead?
That's true.
Yeah?
Now, your voice was certainly in demand, Patricia, during those years on radio, but there was one time when it caused one man a problem. In 1951, you were recommended to join his top radio comedy show.
With that voice, she should read the epilogue, not tell jokes.
A voice, yes, that you came to know so well 21 years ago from Raise a Laugh, Ted Ray. Do you really mean that you didn't like Patricia's voice?
Well, you know, the late George Innes, who created the Black and White Minstrels, was doing Raise a Laugh at the time, and he said to me, what we need in the show is a funny woman. So I said, right, so he brings this one along. And I thought, well, you know, he could have got the large economy size. But she was gorgeous, and she said, hello, Mr. Ray, so lovely to me. I said, this is a funny woman. And George said, wait, I've got 2 characters, one called Charlie, and the other one's called Ingrid, you see. And Pat always used to start off this particular section by calling out Charlie. Would you do it for me? And I really had to change my laundry, but it's a marvelous thing. She wasn't only funny in the raucous sense, but her lovely sort of sexual voice, you know. She had a marvelous thing. Do you remember the tagline was not until after
6 o'clock?
Can we just do a bit? Can we do a bit?
Yeah.
Right. It usually goes something like this. May I see you at 9:30 in the morning?
No, not until after 6 o'clock.
But what about lunch? Wait for it. This is an act, this is. What about lunchtime? Will you be there at lunch?
No, I shan't be there at lunch. Not until after 6 o'clock.
And I suppose at 5:30 you'll go and have a bath.
Not until after 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Stanley. Well, 5 years with Raise a Laugh, over 1,000 radio performances established you as a comedian. Television brings the characters you'd established to the nation's screens. You appear with almost every top comedian, as the late Arthur Haynes' wife for many years, and one Sunday in October last year, you appeared with one star at the Wimbledon Theatre in South London without collecting a fee.
That wasn't the only thing she was without that night.
One of the stars from On the Bus is actor-comedian Michael Robbins. Michael, what happened that night at Wimbledon?
Well, we opened the show with the whole company being introduced one by one to the audience, and we'd all got our pretty frocks on. And came to Pat's turn, and she came down very regally with a very elegant, long mauve dress. But unbeknown to the audience, in fact, only known to Pat herself and my wife, who was sharing a dressing room with her that night, she was missing one part of her apparel.
Which was?
Her drawers. The show that night was a charity show for St. Teresa's Maternity Hospital in Wimbledon. And I'd like to thank Pat very much for all the work she did. And while you're here, I'd like to book you for the next one. And I'd like to assure you that your fee will be double what you got last time.
Thank you, Michael. Now, in fact, she is very serious about St. Teresa's Hospital, Wimbledon, and appropriately enough, your last grandchild was born in that hospital. In fact, your son, Theresa, right?
Yes, Thomas Trelawney was born there.
That's right,
Yes.
Thomas Trelawney. And we couldn't end your story tonight, Patricia, without that same 5-year-old Thomas Trelawney and his sister, your other grandchild, 7-year-old Katie Sara. They're lovely. Patricia Hayes, grandmother, comedian, actress of the year. This is your life.